Welcome to the Piece of Me podcast. This is your space for all things peace, positivity, and finding balance to live your best life. Life gets busy, and at times it's messy. I'm here to help you clean things up and put peace back in its place. I'll share tips, ideas, interviews, mindset shifts, and fresh perspectives to help you along the way. Hi friends, it's Lexi Lee. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, then welcome back and thanks for coming back to the podcast. Now, as the podcast continues to grow, we are now connecting with listeners all around the world. Now, most recently, the podcast has reached Ireland and Australia. So thank you to our new friends who are joining us. I am so glad that you're here. Now, I'm popping on the pod just to let you know what I've been working on behind the scenes. Now, you may have noticed by the title of this episode that we'll be diving into the not so pretty topics. These are a little bit messier, and we don't usually get into these types of topics here on the Piece of Me podcast. But someone recently told me that life isn't all hearts and sparkles, and I really couldn't agree more. That's why I decided that we should talk about the hard stuff and really help each other get through whatever it is that they're going through. So here's what you can expect to hear from the podcast in the month of May. So the next 5 episodes will be the not so positive stories. The month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and each Monday during the month of May, I'll be featuring a different guest on the podcast who has struggled with something hard. Now, my guests are people of various backgrounds, and they live all throughout the country. Now, whether their story is of divorce, death, addiction, suicide, sexual harassment, or something else, my guests were brave enough to share their stories of what they struggled through. Now, some of them did decide to change their name to protect their privacy, and some of their stories may really surprise you. The reason that I wanted to share these stories is to help you feel that you're not alone. Now, when I recorded these episodes, more than one person wanted to talk about healing from divorce. And more than one person talked about struggling with debt and money. And more than one person had lost a loved one and is still trying to pick up the pieces. So, you know what that tells me? That we're all going through stuff. And a lot of this stuff is similar to each other. But more importantly, I think this also means that we're not alone in our struggles. And I'm just really glad that we're talking about it. So that's what I want this podcast to help you with this month, is to make these conversations just more comfortable and open. Now, what my guests will also share, in addition to surviving their struggle, is how they got through it and advice they have for you if you're going through it also. And I think that's really the important part here, the takeaways, the lessons learned, and really just the supportive advice for you. So I'm really thankful to each guest that was willing to share their story on the podcast of all places, and I'm hopeful that their story will help someone else who needs to hear it. Now, my first guest will be joining me next week, so make sure to come back on this and every Monday in the month of May. All right, my friends, thank you for being here, and I look forward to sharing these conversations with you in May. I've created this space to help you live your best life. If you want to help support the podcast in return, I'd be forever grateful of your support. Please give this show a rating or share an episode with a friend. You can also join me on Instagram at the Piece of Me podcast. Let's stay connected.